My cousin lives on the third floor in an apartment building at the time that I was living in. I was scared to walk from the second floor to the third floor to her house because I thought I would have a panic attack in between that distance. I would go outside and start trembling. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. It's Angel, the Psych MP. Welcome back. Last week, I talked to you guys about what it was like that first day when COVID-19 hit the ER and you realized that it was here in the United States. This week, I'm going to talk to you more about 1 week out of COVID-19 and how we still have no control over this thing and we still trying to figure it out. You're hearing about all over the news, there are ventilator shortages, there's PPE shortages. Your coworkers are now getting sick with COVID-19. And now, more so than the first day we saw the chaos surrounding it. We saw we were confused. Now we're seeing all the deaths that surrounded it. So the first day you're scared, but 1 week out, people have actually been dying in large numbers all across the world, not just in the United States, not just in New York, not just in New Orleans and all these places. Italy's having tons of people die. People are still dying in China from it. You have no choice but to feel like, oh my God, is this the end? We're not going to even talk about all the conspiracy theories and everything else that was going on that just added on to all the stress you were already dealing with. And you, the nurse, are trying to figure out what in the world is going on here. Did I sign up for this? I have to go though. I have to go in these rooms and take care of these patients. Even though I see the numbers at 200 and 300 on the news or people are dying daily, I still gotta go in there with this lack of PPE and take care of these patients. Me, myself, I'm still trying to heal from the loss of my father a few months ago that sent me into having panic attacks. I lost my dad. I guess I didn't grieve it properly. I'm driving down the street one day, start having panic attacks. I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner. Everything I learned in school went out the door. Because now it's me. I forgot everything. I'm scared out my mind driving down the street having a panic attack. I went through so much during that time having those panic attacks. I was scared to go outside. My cousin lives on the third floor in an apartment building at the time that I was living in. I was scared to walk from the second floor to the third floor to her house because I thought I would have a panic attack in between that distance. I would go outside and start trembling. I couldn't drive in the car by myself. Someone had to be with me at all times. In the midst of trying to heal from the panic attack, I never took any medication, but I started going to therapy. I will talk more to you all later about the importance of therapy. Don't let people make you feel like therapy, because you go to therapy, you're crazy. You can go to therapy and there's absolutely nothing wrong with you just because you want to have a conversation with somebody who's not going to judge you, who's not going to tell your husband, your wife, your mama, your daughter, your sister, whoever. Just because you need an outlet to get some things off of your chest, you can go to therapy just for that. Saying I'm going to therapy should be the equivalent to saying I'm going to see my doctor for my annual checkup. That's the equivalent. We need to make therapy cool so that people can go and have an outlet instead of holding everything in like I did, and then I end up having panic attacks. But that's another topic. We'll get to that later on. In the midst of me trying to heal from my anxiety and my panic attacks, I'm actively dealing with a new pandemic that has hit the United States that nobody knew about. Nobody knows how to treat it. Nobody knows anything about it. There's all this riffraff about how it got here, who brought it here, where it came from. The reality is none of that matter. It was here and it was killing people left and right. I don't want to talk about this 5G stuff and none of those things, because regardless of what anybody thought about how it got here, the radiation, what all those things, whatever you thought about it, it doesn't matter. What we will say is that people were dying. As nurses, we became the liaison between family members telling their loved ones goodbye because no one could come into the hospital to see their family member. Imagine being somebody dealing with your own grief of losing your father or your mother or your wife or your husband pre-COVID from, other things. And now you're coming into an environment where you're not fully healed. And this could be anybody in the hospital. I'm talking about from environmental workers all the way up to the CEOs of the hospital, to dealing with a deadly virus that nobody knows how to take care of. Before going into COVID, you would go to work, you would see who on the board that day. My dog here today, we gonna have a good day. Oh, such and such here today, we know she always bring food, we gonna eat good today. Now you go into the hospital, nobody bringing no food. You don't know where your friends working at now because everybody going wherever there's a need in the hospital, you're being placed there we need a body there. Whatever your skill level is, no. You ER, okay, go here, work there. We need a body there today. So everybody's all over the hospital working in areas they probably not familiar working in, but we just doing the best we can so that we can serve the patients the best we can. That doesn't make us feel good as nurses though, because what's rewarding for us is taking care of people, and eventually that day when you come into the hospital, discharge starts on admission. That wasn't happening. We were admitting people, but we weren't discharging many people. There's no gratification in that. You start feeling like what you're doing is pointless, is worthless. Like, what are we doing? Are we just keeping people comfort, giving people comfort until they pass? That's palliative care, like everybody's on that. Like, that gives you a sense of doom. It gives you a sense of when is my turn? Because there is no end date to this pandemic. The way things are going, initially you think, hey, this might go away, like soon, but then you don't see any victory down the lines because no one is being discharged. I'm anxious. I'm trying to keep myself from having a panic attack while I'm going in a room to take care of a patient. My coworker's over there dealing with some depression that she's dealing with at home with her family already. We all have our own things going on in the midst of this whole pandemic. Mentally, we have to figure out ways to take care of ourselves. Even though I'm in the middle of healing myself with the panic attacks and anxiety, I've learned ways to recognize triggers for me. When I start feeling like I can't swallow, when I start feeling like I'm having palpitations, when I start feeling like my muscles are tensing up, especially my back muscles, it's time for me to distract myself. I can figure out what am I thinking about that's causing me to have those feelings. But sometimes, in the middle of the hospital and the rush and everything, I couldn't really focus like that. So I had to take some deep breaths, go in the corner, do some deep breathing to calm myself down before I'm in a full-blown panic attack. And I'm no good to me. I'm no good to the patient. I'm no good to my coworkers, because we're all one band, one sound.
One band, one sound. One band, one sound.
So we all needed to be there for each other to take care of each other during this time. And what I want to say is that we have to normalize people having anxiety and having depression and not looking at people and thinking, oh, they like, oh, girl, she crazy. She over there talking about she trembling and, you know, having palpitations. No, stop it. What can you do to help somebody going through those things? A part of the reason I wanted to start this channel was because I'm on Facebook during this whole pandemic or other social media outlets, and I'm looking at nurses and my co-workers and just people talk about all these things that they're feeling. And I'm saying to myself, my goodness, these people are having some symptoms of mild depression. These people have insomnia. These people have anxiety, and they don't even know it because they're not getting the help. They thinking that, you know, everybody is on there, oh girl, I'm feeling that too, and this, but they're not realizing what's really happening to them. And if you don't get a control on some of those things, you will spiral down before you know it, and you out for the count, or you need medication. But if you get ahead of things by speaking, going to therapy and recognizing what's happening to you, you can potentially take care of some things without having medication. Or some people need medication. I will not deny that. Some people need medication to get them over the hump. Some people need medication for long periods of time. If that's your situation, I am not talking about that situation. Get your medication. Get on, get you some therapy. Get whatever help you need. This channel, I just want to be a resource or adjunct therapy, or just somewhere where you can come and realize that you're not alone. Somewhere you can come where someone understands what you're going through. Somewhere where you can come and interact with other people. But what I will say, if you are at a point where things are like really, your family is telling you, hey, you need to go see a doctor, you probably do. You probably do. If people are noticing severe changes in your behavior and how you're responding to things and how you're acting, you're sleeping all day, you're not eating, or you're just shaking and trembling, you're fearful, you're scared to go outside, you probably need to see someone in those instances. It may not be a psychiatrist. You could see a therapist, somebody to talk to, because it helped me. I never saw a psychiatrist. I went straight for therapy because I knew I wanted to do the work to heal. So I want you guys to like, comment, turn on your notifications. Come back to the page next week. We're building our own community here. You can ask questions below. I'll respond to as many questions as I can. We'll be able to do Q&As. We can do interviews. We can do whatever we want. We're building our own community so that we can help everybody get through this mentaldemic. And it's not just tailored to healthcare professionals. It's anybody. Subscribe. See you next week. Angel to Psych MP.